The St. Louis Blues had a great 3-1 victory last night over the LA Kings. Now, with back to back wins, St. Louis looks to continue that on as they're getting ready to take on the Minnesota Wild this weekend. But the race to the playoffs is getting really close and it is crunch time. And what exactly do the Blues need to do to get a playoff spot? I'll tell you coming up here on Locked On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to Locked On Blues. I am your host of Locked On Blues, Haley Taylor Simon, talking to you all things about our St. Louis Blues here, a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My everydayers, hello, how are you? I hope you are doing well on this Thursday evening. So right now, as I'm beginning my episode, of course, a motorcycle has to go by, which makes it very loud and disturbing. But I want to talk to you about the Blues' outstanding win last night. I couldn't stop bragging about Jordan Binnington today with his 40 saves out of 41 shots on goal, with obviously the one going in. But an outstanding game from Binnington. I'm going to also talk about playoff hope and how Vegas is the target right now. That is right. The defending Cup champs are our target. And the Blues need to defeat Minnesota. So a lot to dive into on today's episode of Locked On Blues. I am live on YouTube today. I feel like I go live quite a bit on this channel, on this podcast. So at any point, if you want to add your comment, let me know what you're thinking. Please do so. Today is also 314. So happy 314 day to you, St. Louis. Obviously, it is not only our area code day, it is also a victory day, as the Blues did have a great 3-1 win last night. I did my Blues post-game show last night where I really dive deep into the game. But most importantly, the biggest takeaway from that game, when you really think about it, is one player in particular, and that is Jordan Binnington. Binner's 40 saves is something that I don't think I'm going to ever let down in any possible way. He has been phenomenal lately. He's been locked in and extra focused. And we all know how Jordan Binnington gets when he is focused. Now, listen, one of the things on this podcast I have talked quite a lot. It's about the fact that this is a team that I do believe has playoff traits. What do I mean by that? Well, I mean that they have players that know what it's like to play in those big, crucial games. And I think that they really could be successful if you put them in the playoffs. But I don't know necessarily as a team as a whole that they're ready for it. I think they have certain players that would thrive in playoff situations. And one of those players is, of course, Jordan Binnington. We saw that the year we won the Cup. But another player that has stood out to me as of lately has been Brandon Saad. Saad's been playing some really good hockey. And I could go on with the whole team and I could list how they were playing. I think Kevin Hayes has stepped up even. So he's been playing better. And listen, I know that not everyone's a fan of Kevin Hayes, and I completely understand, how his game can be a little bit non-exciting. I don't want to say anything negative too much about him, but I can understand that. But I think he's stepped up. Another player that you probably are going to be like, Haley, what is with you in this one player? It is Torrey Krug. I think Krug's been playing some good hockey. Now, is he the best defender? No. But has he been playing with a lot more effort as of lately? And the answer is yes. Sometimes he's a little bit invisible on the ice, but he does make big hits, vital plays. And I do believe that he is more of an asset to this team than he is hurting the team. Now, would I prefer to have another defender over Torrey Krug? 1,000%. Do I wish that he was traded? 100%. But we do have to deal with him while he is here. He's a big body. And again, he's another player. You put him to a playoff experience, he would absolutely thrive. When you think about players thriving in the playoffs, of course, Torrey Krug will come to your mind. Now, is he the best regular season player? No. But I do believe that he does have the veteran leadership that will help this team if they do go to the playoffs. But let's get back to last night's game and last night's win and why that was such an important win. You have a huge win over the Boston Bruins, and I understand a couple of you even said this. Hey, Hale, Boston didn't look so good from the beginning. So why are we highlighting that win? Well, because it's still against the Boston Bruins. I don't care if the Bruins weren't coming out having their best night. It is still a win against one of the best teams in the NHL. It's against a team that we beat in the cup, so obviously that means something at the rink that we won the cup in at TD Garden. But also Patty Maroon on the Bruins now, which is so weird, right? Am I the only one that's like, okay, this is really strange? But most importantly was last night's win against the LA Kings. I believe at the end of the day, the LA Kings are one of those teams that puts up a good fight. They're a good team defensively, offensively. They have a good PK. They also have a good power play. So they have not only good special teams, but they also have a good regular, unit. And I think last night we were able to see the fact that St. Louis was able to be so resilient against a team like LA that is a good road team, that is a team that is well put together. Their dynamic is good. They're strong and they know how to utilize your skills. And I get it. Okay. Not every team is going to be on their A game, and that's fine, but the Blues need to take advantage of that. I am A-okay if St. Louis is on their A game and some other teams are not. And I get the excuses. I can hear it already coming in from different fan bases because I've seen it on the channel. Our team wasn't playing the best game tonight. The Blues still suck. Okay, well, 2 points is 2 points. I don't care if your team came in ready to have the game of their lifetime. The Blues still won and were able to pick up those 2 points in regulation. And besides that, Binnington with 40 saves, that's not a small number. That is a big deal for Binner. So I agree. Yes. Was it the Kings' best game? No. But was it still a great game? Yeah. And I think that's what's most important. This is what Drew Bannister said after the back-to-back wins. I know when I did the post-game show, a lot of the quotes didn't come out yet because the pressers didn't happen. So he says, I'm proud of all of our guys. I'm proud of our young players. And I'm proud of how our older guys are leading the way. And I agree on that one from Banny. I think that the older guys, and I did mention to Torrey Krug, I think they were setting a good example, especially Torrey Krug might be setting a good example for a Kessel even. So it is important that you do utilize some of these older players on the team. Now, do I think that younger guys are going to struggle when it comes to these crunch games? Absolutely. I always say this after the trade deadline, it's the craziest hockey that you're going to see. You're going to see teams playing in desperation mode because the playoffs, they're coming up soon, okay? I cannot believe that the season is about to come to an end, or at least the regular season. And right now, under 20 games, you can best bet that you're going to see some of the most hectic hockey you've seen coming out of the St. Louis Blues because they know at this point it is do or die. We had our first playoff elimination with the one and the only San Jose Sharks, who were officially eliminated from the Stanley Cup playoffs. And now you have 31 teams remaining, even though we know that we have some teams like the Blackhawks, the Ducks that are just not going to make it, Columbus. But it's coming to that time where it's crunch time. And St. Louis, and I'm going to talk about this coming up, they still have that playoff hope. But they need to play how they did last night. They need to play how they did against the Bruins. You need to get those goals racking up. I think last night the Blues had plenty of opportunities to actually get some more goals. And I know like everyone was joking about, a goalie goal from Jordan Binghamton. And I know that didn't happen. But I think the Blues, they need to make sure that they secure these wins. Having a 2-goal advantage, well, that's a good advantage to have. Anything can happen. We've seen that before if the Blues leading by 2 goals. We recently saw that against the Islanders where the Blues were up 2-0 and the Islanders were able to come back. So I don't think you're so safe with a 2-goal advantage. Now, can you argue that a 3-goal advantage makes a difference? Absolutely. It actually secures you a lot of space because I forget what the actual number is. I know there is a statistic that does, and I have to find it. I'll talk about that tomorrow. But I do believe when you have a 3-goal lead in a game, it is a certain amount of percentage harder. I think it's a very low percentage to come back. So I'll have to figure that one out. But overall, I am happy that they won. It was a great game that St. Louis had against Sod, has been absolutely spectacular. And so was Jake Neighbors. And I know that is what Drew Bannister was saying about the younger players. You're seeing Jake Neighbors have a fantastic season. And couldn't be more proud. Kate says, go Blues, and let's go Blues. Rob says he's going to be on vacation for the next 2 weeks, but hopefully you check in because this is a crunch time for St. Louis, and have a great vacation, Rob. So before I talk about playoff hope, I do want to let you know about Ibotta. Grocery bills are so expensive these days, but now they don't have to be. Start getting cash back on your grocery shopping with the free Ibotta app and get cash back every time you shop. Do you love making money, but also love spending money? Don't we all? Now you can make money while you spend it every time you shop with Ibotta. Ibotta is a free app that gives you the most cash back every time you shop on hundreds of items, from grocery to beauty supplies to toys. So you can make sure that you're beating inflation no matter what you're purchasing. The average Ibotta user earns $256 per year. That could be a cost of an entire shopping trip. So you can buy that flight you've been eyeing, that game that you've been dying to go to, or the fancy dinner you've been craving. Other apps give you points that don't amount to much. With Ibotta, just add your offers in the app, upload your receipt, and you get real cash that you can cash out to your bank account, PayPal, or gift cards. Join over the 50 million users and earn cash back every time you shop from over 2,700 brands and retailers, including Lowe's, Macy's, Sephora, Best Buy, and more. Right now, Ibotta is offering our listeners $5 just for trying Ibotta by using the code LOCKEDONNHL when you register. Just go to the App Store or Google Play Store and download the free Ibotta app and start earning cash back and use LOCKEDONNHL. That's Ibotta, IBOTTA, in the Google Play or App Store, and use code LOCKEDONNHL. You're getting free $5, so obviously you should use that. So let's talk, my friends. Let's talk about some standings. We know that this is crunch time right now. This is not an easy time whatsoever for the Blues, but as I mentioned, they are now 6 points behind the second wildcard spot, which is the Las Vegas Golden Knights. Now, if you were to tell me that the Golden Knights, the VGK, see, look at my dyslexia, the VGK team would be the team that I am saying, let's hope for their downfall, and hopefully the Blues can be able to use that to their advantage. Okay. The Knights play tonight against the Flames, and I am hoping that the Flames win, because right now we need the Knights not to gain any more points because the Blues need to catch up to them. Now, the Knights did have back-to-back wins as they defeated the Seattle Kraken 5-4 and the Detroit Red Wings 5-3. But they also went on a bit of a losing streak. They lost to Boston, Buffalo, Columbus, and the Canucks. So they definitely lost a lot of games. And to even put it into perspective, I'm not going to count the Sharks game because they went against that game. But in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games, they only won 3. So they won 3 of their last 9 games. They have a lot of injuries right now and a team that's been struggling. So the Blues, I am not saying the Blues are going to catch up to the Knights just like that, but the Blues do have an opportunity to become, honestly, the second wild card spot by catching up to the Knights within the next couple weeks. I say give it some time, but the Knights, they're not as good as a team as most people predicted them to be. Tonight's game against Calgary is so important. The game just begun, actually. Right now, face-off just happened. And I really think that the Flames need to pull out a win. Calgary, and I know we're getting a little bit, they're on a 3-game losing streak, so I understand that it's not going so great for them right now. 6 in the Pacific Division, so obviously not a strong team, but if there's one team that I am rooting for tonight, it is definitely the Flames. Because right now, if you're looking at our own, okay, we're going to talk about our own conference within the Central. The Nashville Predators are on a 13-game point streak, which is unbelievable. They are not losing. Why aren't they losing? It is not normal whatsoever for Nashville, who is a team that was supposed to be struggling, a team that was supposed to be kind of bad, to be this successful, and it doesn't make sense. They play again Saturday when the same day that we play, and they are playing against the Kraken. So again, I am hoping that the Kraken end up winning because I don't understand what is going on. I don't think I would have ever been able to predict the fact that Nashville has 80 points to our 71, which is absolutely bonkers. Um, it's funny. I was talking to Anne from the Locked On Predators podcast at the beginning of the season, and her and I were talking. We both agree that the Blues and Preds were really similar teams, but we both even said that the Predators might struggle even more. And now I'm like, whoa, what is happening with Nashville? Um, Obviously, anything can happen in any season, and this team is clicking, but it just, again, it doesn't make sense to me how Nashville got this successful this fast. And obviously, you look at Barry Trotz, right? And you look and you see, the shift that he's made, and he is now the GM for the Predators. And, he did a lot with the Islanders as the head coach from 2018 to 2022. And I feel like he's a very likable guy, but what he's doing right now as GM and the moves that he's making, that team is successful. And I think that right now, the Blues, they have an avenue. You could focus on surpassing the Predators, which might be a little bit more challenging since they're now 9 points ahead of the Blues. Or you can focus on just that second wildcard spot, catching up to Vegas, 6-point difference. Hopefully they lose tonight, so that way the Blues don't have to then have an 8-point difference between the two. But the Blues are still alive. There are still playoff hopes for St. Louis. And despite the fact that there is about under 20 games left, plenty of hockey, I would not full on panic yet. But this is probably going to come down to the last week of games, which stresses me out. And I'm sure that's going to stress you out as well. So before I talk about why winning against Minnesota is so important, I want to let you know about something that I really love, and it is called Robinhood. Did you know that even if you have a 401k for retirement, you can still have an IRA? Robinhood has the only IRA that gives you 3% boost on every dollar you contribute when you subscribe to Robinhood Gold. But get this. Now through April 30th, Robinhood is even boosting every single dollar you transfer from other retirement accounts with a 3% match. That's right, no cap on the 3% match. Robinhood Gold gets you the most for your retirement thanks to their IRA with a 3% match. This offer is good through April 30th. Get started at robinhood.com/boost. Subscription fees apply. And now for some legal info. Claim as of Q1 2024, validated by Radius Global Market Research. Investing involves risk, including loss. Limitations apply to IRAs and 401ks. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold for 1 year from the date of the first 3% match. Must keep Robinhood IRA for 5 years. The 3% matching on transfers is subject to specific terms and condition. Robinhood IRA available to U.S. customers in good standing. Robinhood Financial LLC members SIPC is registered broker-dealer. The Blues need to defeat the Wild. No doubt about it. The Wild are also right behind St. Louis with the 71 points as well. So this will be a big game. I do predict Marc-Andre Fleury to be in net for the Wild. I know it's a little too soon to tell, but this is a big game. Anytime you're playing against another divisional team, it definitely sparks some more passion, right? because right now both of these teams are really fighting for a playoff spot. I know for Minnesota, with how their season's been, it was a little bit rocky, but they've been really coming along towards the end now. And I think that any of these two teams can make it to the playoffs, right? I wouldn't be surprised if Minnesota made it at this point. I think St. Louis is in a situation where they know how vital every single win is now. You're seeing players more locked in and focused. You're seeing Bannister make some more calculated decisions with his lineups. And I think at this point in time, realistically, you have to think, okay, if the Blues win against Minnesota, they get to 73 points. Let's go say theoretically, VGK, I see dyslexia, VGK loses tonight. They don't get those 2 points. Then the Blues, instead of being 6 points behind, are 4 points behind. That's realistic. You can kind of taste that playoff spot. So, I mean, again, anything can happen. Plenty of hockey left, but you have to also have a little bit of wishful thinking, and you have to kind of hope, hey, let's not have Vegas go on a hot streak. Let's not have the Predators continue on this winning, because right now, if these two teams, the Preds and the Golden Knights, continue to play the way that they have been with the winning, maybe not so much Vegas, even though they did win some back-to-back games, you're in a bad situation even if you continue to win. So you have to kind of hope for the downfall of some other teams, but you also need to defeat the Wild. That is huge, because if you lose against Minnesota, then they will be closer to that second wild card spot. You get what I'm saying? So this is a game that you cannot afford to lose. I don't even want that sad, pathetic OT point. I want the 2 points. And you want to do this in regulation, because again, then you give Minnesota another point, and then you're just, again, a 1 point difference. And that's how I'm looking at it. This is strategic hockey at the moment, folks. We're not looking at it as in, okay, we get a point, woohoo. No, like, you don't want Minnesota to get a point. You do not want that to happen. If Minnesota gets those 2 points and the Blues get nothing, the Blues fall into even more trouble. And I think we all know it at this point. So this is a really vital time for St. Louis. Am I the only one that is planning out every single possible playoff scenario? Because I feel like that's what's been happening. For tomorrow's episode, I promise I will have that interview with Jordan Kyrou. I just really wanted to touch on some few things today that I thought just took more precedence over what he told me. But that interview will be posted tomorrow on Locked On Blues, so stay tuned for that. I have a lot of exciting content coming. I will be doing my bonus episode on Saturday. Since Monday, I was stuck at the airport in Florida, and I was unable to get back home to record. So you will be having that episode on Saturday. So you will be getting your 5 episodes a week. So plenty of Blues hockey to talk to you left. All right, I will talk to you tomorrow. And like always, let's go Blues.